Taiwanese don't realize how special Taiwan is. We used to have a joke. Everyone knows Taiwan is a great outdoor country except Taiwanese. My name's Mark. I'm originally from Ireland, and I organize mountain and biking trips around Taiwan.
How is it difficult to organize such a trip? Is it about with foreigners or with Taiwanese?
Mostly with foreigners, some Taiwanese. People coming from, say, Australia, US, Europe.
So do you only do this in Kaohsiung or anywhere in Taiwan?
All over Taiwan.
Is it a company or you're just doing it for leisure?
Yeah, I use Taiwanese companies.
Okay.
So it's like we do on a contract. I bring the people in, and then we use Taiwanese guides, Taiwanese drivers to take them out on trips. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. All right, his link will be in the description below. You can check him out. How long have you been here?
I've been in Taiwan 32 years.
Wow, that's a long time. Why do you decide to stay that long?
Well, because after the first year I was here, I met my wife, I got married, and we've got to live somewhere, and I like Taiwan.
What strikes you first as usual or special when you arrive in Taiwan?
Well, I was traveling in Asia before I came here, so I didn't have the same culture shock that most people would have. At that time, Kaohsiung wasn't a very nice city. It was industrial and it was polluted, but it's a friendly, laid-back city. It's not as city-like as a Taipei. It's not as crowded. It's more laid-back.
What advice would you give to a first-time visitor in Taiwan?
Start learning Chinese as soon as you get here. It's the most difficult thing, the language barrier, and any difficulties people have will generally be related to language and culture. The sooner you start learning, the easier it is to fit in.
How is the food different in Taiwan from your country?
Right, I don't like Irish food at all. It's mostly boiled. It's very bland. Whereas Taiwan, you've got so many different cooking styles with Chinese food. It's just more exotic, more unusual. A lot of Irish food is boiled. Boiled vegetables, boiled potatoes, and not so interesting.
What part of Taiwanese culture do you find mostly interesting?
Mostly the indigenous communities. So we do a lot of trips into Aborigine villages. You get to see how they lived from thousands of years ago. We go in and stay at their slate houses, learn how they hunted, how they cooked, how they gathered vegetables. So that's a very interesting part for me.
What is maybe one or two main cultural differences between Taiwan and Ireland?
Probably religion. I mean, growing up in Ireland, it was mostly a very Catholic country, whereas Taiwan is much more open about religion. You know, they don't have such strict guidelines. You have people who are Buddhist, Taoist. It's very accepting of all religions. So that's an interesting part about it. That's a big difference.
Is Ireland a country of its own? Or?
Ireland is two countries, North and South. South Ireland is a republic. North of Ireland is still part of the United Kingdom.
You've been here for a while. How would you relate the housing condition compared to Ireland?
Well, it's cheaper for a start. Ireland is now one of the most expensive countries in Europe. I think most young couples in Taiwan, especially if they're not in Taipei, they can get a mortgage and they can buy a place. But that's increasingly difficult overseas. And I would say rent here is quite low. So if you had, say, the average couple were renting in Kaohsiung as opposed to renting in Ireland, especially if it was Dublin, well then the rent would be about 1/3 the price. You know, a lot of people are spending half their income on rent. So it makes it very difficult to save, to get a mortgage, to buy a place. Yeah.
So how would you compare the general living condition, the environment, compared to other countries that you visit?
I still think this is a fairly low-cost country. You can survive here on much less. The tax rate is low. Utility bills are much lower. It's on a not very high income, it's possible to save in Taiwan, where it's not unusual now for people in other countries to have no savings. And that's something that we found out with the pandemic, people lost their jobs, but they had no savings, so they couldn't last even for a few months without income. Right?
What part of Taiwanese culture do you find hard to adapt to?
Every part of the culture, if you're just coming in from a different country, of course that's the same everywhere, because everything about the culture is different. There are no similarities as such. So it's difficult for us to accept the family connections. You know, we're more likely to break away from our family. You know, you move away, whereas Taiwan, it's family is always there. You can't really break those ties. It's much more difficult for Taiwanese to break the ties to family.
If you are to change anything in Taiwan, what would it be?
I think for general living, the most important thing to change would be the licensing for cars and scooters. They should make it much more difficult for people to get a scooter license or a car license the way it is in foreign countries, and that would make a huge difference to traffic safety. Taiwan was never built for pedestrians. You know, it's like it's designed for cars and scooters, so that makes it, that's why you have so many accidents, people get killed on pedestrian crossings. It would make a huge difference to the quality of life for the average person if it was just safer on the roads.
How is it like living in Taiwan in general as a foreigner?
Great. When I'm an outdoors person, right? I do mountain hiking, I do biking, and in South Taiwan and in Kaohsiung, that's 12 months of the year. If you were living in, say, Ireland or England, you've got 4 to 5 months of the year where it's too cold and too wet. In winter, to go outdoors, people just stay in their house. And that's something that drives me crazy. So it was something that it was kind of a subconscious thing. Well, why am I mean, Kaohsiung is an industrial polluted city, but I'm quite happy here. Well, it's because I'm outdoors all the time. You know, it's 7 days a week. I go out for a hike, I go riding my bike, and it's very convenient when you're in the city. You don't have to travel long distances. Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else to tell Taiwanese people?
They need to learn how beautiful their own country is. We used to have a joke. Everyone knows Taiwan is a great outdoor country, except Taiwanese. But because of the pandemic, the number of people doing outdoor activities has quadrupled. You know, I went out for the last few days with a bike trip, and every day we saw different bike tours, giant company, and they've got 30, 40, 50 people. Well, these were people who didn't ride bikes before the pandemic, but during it they couldn't travel overseas. And if you go hiking, there's several times more people enjoying the mountains. Taiwanese don't realize how special Taiwan is. It's such a small country, and it's an excellent outdoor location. For you, river tracing, hiking, high mountains, cycling, it actually has it all. Yeah. So, you know, you'll hear Taiwanese people saying, you know, they want to go to Switzerland, Austria, and Italy and see that mountain scenery. Well, you have equally good mountain scenery in Taiwan. So when I've had foreigners come here hiking, you know, I've taken them up to places. Oh yeah, this reminds me of Austria, or this reminds me of Switzerland. So you need to tell Taiwanese that. They don't know. But now they do actually, more than ever. Taiwanese have got more outdoors. Yeah. Which of course is great to see.
All right, thank you very much, and welcome to Taiwan. You're already a Taiwanese, but still, welcome to Taiwan.
Yes, thank you.